Looks like the BRICS situation is finally forming and they're discussing the de-dollarization, I guess, of the East. Grift Report starts now.
2, 1, boom. Hotep Jesus.
Of all the Jesuses I know, he's the Hotepiest. Social scientist and YouTube host, Hotep Jesus.
How the fuck do you get a name like Hotep Jesus?
The one and only Hotep Jesus.
Ryan Sharp, better known to the world as Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Somebody said, what do you think you are, some kind of Hotep Jesus?
Ooh,
And
that's
I was
good.
Just like, ooh, that's sexy. Yes, I do think I'm Hotep Jesus. What's up, people? Welcome to the Grift Report. I'm your host,
Hotep Jesus.
Hotep Jesus, the Grift God.
Hotep, you're a genius. HotepJesus.com.
Welcome to the Grift Report. We're here live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Might not be here this weekend. Got a lot of stuff going on. Season has started, coaching the kids, so we'll see what happens. If something pops off, I might do a late night cast. Maybe I'll pull an Uncle Hotep pop up at midnight. Who knows what'll happen? But happy Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed the show last night. I hope that's been told you. Another classic episode. Unfortunately, Uncle Hotep beat his charges. Prosecution got to do better next time. Prosecution has got to do better next time. Can't believe we let him slip through the cracks. But he got off on all charges. Lucky man. Anyway, let's get into the story today. The de-dollarization. De-dollarization, I guess, of the East is what we're dealing with here. Let me go ahead and pop this up on the screen. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. Damn. My camera's off a little bit here. Hold on. Let me just fix this. Real fast. You guys know I got OCD, so if I don't fix it, it's going to bother me. Okay, cool. So that's fixed. All right, let's bring it up. Let's bring up the story. Wait, what is that? That's not it. Here we go. All right, and then let me set this one here. Okay, cool. All right, we're good. Let's go to that story right now. So this came from, always want to cite the sources, so in case anybody wants to do their own research. This one comes from crypto.news. It's titled FOMC, BRICS De-Dollarization and the Future of Crypto. We're just going to focus on the de-dollarization part, although I do recommend. Actually, let's take a look at this section. This section here is called the effects of, this is a very important section. Well, I want to make sure we cover it. Effects of federal funds rate changes on crypto. So it says here, since March 2022, the Federal Reserve has taken action on interest rates 12 times. Wow. Initially, the alterations were modest, with a hike of 25 basis points. However, persistently high inflation led the committee to become bolder, implementing 4 successive hike rates of 75 basis points. From June to November 22nd, the rapid adjustments had a crippling effect on both traditional stock and cryptocurrency markets, since investors were forced to quickly pull their money from those markets as they were unprepared for such drastic changes. It resulted in considerable price falls for both crypto assets and regular stocks. So I think what's happening here is when there's economic uncertainty, people are not so keen to invest, and they might liquidate some of their stuff, move it to cash, move it to, we'll talk about gold in a second as well, but moving it to other places, things that might be more secure when there's economic uncertainty. So it says here, until the FOMC hinted at substantial rate hikes in May, such as 50 or 75 basis points, that the crypto market experienced its first significant dip of the period, with Bitcoin dropping from 30,000 band to the lower 20,000s. However, between July and September 22nd, investors were already accounting for consecutive 75 basis point rate hikes. thereby limiting any drastic negative price reactions. According to data from the crypto price tracking website CoinGecko, the price of Bitcoin is nearly 40% higher than it was around this time last year when the crypto market was in the throes of a third consecutive 75 basis point hike. And then you have the chart here, et cetera, et cetera. So now let's go to this section here. It talks about the quest for de-dollarization. I want to cover that last section just to show you how, crypto markets can be affected by decisions from the Fed. So watching the Fed can tell you something about how you should play the crypto markets. So it says here, apparently BRICS had a summit. It says that the Brazilian president, Luiz Inacio Lula da Silva, damn, it's a long name, called for the creation of a currency for trade and investment between members of a grouping of developed and emerging economies that include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So when he says he's calling for the creation of a currency, this to me signals a want or desire for the creation of a CBDC, a BRIC CBDC. So $ BRICS, I guess, might be the ticker. But let's take a look here. So it says a desire for a BRICS alliance members to rely on their own currencies instead of the U.S. dollar was made more urgent in the wake of its significant surge in 2022, propelled by the Fed's interest hikes and the conflict in Ukraine. So obviously making the dollar more expensive is going to affect how countries decide to deal with it. Then they have a clip here from Tucker Carlson. Looks to be quite old.
For nearly 80 years since the end of the Second World War, the U.S.
We're not going to watch that. It's 14 minutes. Anyway, going into the group's latest summit in South Africa, where President De Silva spoke, observers had expected the subject of a USD alternative to dominate proceedings. Some even anticipated a concrete decision regarding the dollar changing currency would be made, especially given that the alliance was set to welcome several new members for the first time in 13 years. So it looks like some new countries could be joining BRICS, and that's been news for a while now, so it's not new. However, most of the leaders seem to sing from different hymn books, while the Brazilian president was all for common BRICS currency. Russia's Vladimir Putin emphasized the need for currencies to trade in local currencies to de-dollarize the world economy. So Putin, I think, is a bit more pragmatic about this, because if you were to just take all the currencies in the BRICS nations and then just couple them or bundle them into, a single package, maybe a BRIC CBDC, that might not work too well, because what Vladimir Putin seems to be saying here is, let's first stabilize our currencies, because Russia's currency is going through troubles and they're actually experiencing deflation since the sanctions from the Ukraine war. China's going through, their typical renminbi situation with the digital renminbi, et cetera. And I'm sure India, of course, India's also has a CBDC. So I think what he's trying to say is, let's first stabilize the local currencies, make those strong and secure, establish good trade in our local currencies, and then maybe circle back to deciding to package them together. Because if you package together unstable currencies, that means the BRICS CBDC will be unstable. But if you stabilize them first, then you have a stabilized BRICS currency. That's what I think Vladimir Putin is saying without saying here. And I'm just speculating. So on its part, India, through its oil and gas minister, Hardeep Singh Puri, admitted that overturning long-standing dollar-based payment systems would be difficult. So he's basically saying de-dollarizing, destabilizing dollar is going to be a lot harder than said. And while touting the international finance system reform, China, which holds the world's largest foreign exchange reserve, valued at over $3.3 trillion, made no comment regarding the BRICS common currency. So China stays mum. They have nothing to say about this conversation. The summit host South Africa dismissed the notion out of hand, insisting that no member had tabled the issue of a common currency. So at the moment, it seems like Brazil is alone in this desire to form a CBDC. Now, there's data here from BIS that the United States dollar continues to rule global trade with nearly 90% involvement in international Forex transactions. So when people talk about, the dollar destabilizing, I mean, when you have 90% involvement in Forex transactions, it's going to be kind of hard to not be the world reserve currency. So the BRICS has a lot of work to do, right? And, we've talked about BRICS forming up and possibly destabilizing the dollar in the past and that being used as an excuse. Well, I don't exactly think that the dollar has to be threatened by BRICS for them to create a CBDC in America here. You just need the threat. It doesn't even have to be real. And we know this to be true about our government. No threat has to be real for them to make decisions. So just a decision by BRICS alone could cause the United States to say, hey, look, BRICS are forming a CBDC. There's a threat. But as you can see here, having 90% involvement in Forex transactions, it just doesn't seem like something that's plausible or real. So naturally, if you follow this information, when your government tells you that, hey, we're being destabilized by BRICS, I would refer to a stat like this. Now, obviously, this is not the only stat you want to go by to solidify dollar dominance, but it's a pretty damn good one when people are talking about, trading in currencies. Now, while we're talking about currencies, let's go to this next story here, and it talks about Costco's 1 ounce gold bars are selling out within a few hours. So this is something I've been researching recently, just buying gold bars. I'm not exactly sure where to buy from. Anybody got any information on where to buy gold bars? Does anybody know? I want to buy some. And not even for me. I want to buy some for my parents because I owe money. So I figured, hey, mom, dad, I owe you money. Take this gold bar. I think they would really enjoy that. Plus, I owe them a gift. I started researching this for their anniversary. I want to get them gold bars for their anniversary. And I think it's just the best way to, or one of the best ways to preserve wealth. So the CFO says when we load them on the site, they're typically gone within a few hours. We limit 2 per member. So I didn't even know Costco sold gold. And also, when I've been researching these sites, and I'm looking at how much it costs for an ounce of gold, and then I'm looking for what they're selling it for, and I'm like, damn, there's some serious markup from some of these places. So I need somebody that's going to come as close as possible to the real cost of the ounce of gold. And I know, the price of gold varies tremendously on the daily. It says on Wednesday, the site showed a price of $1,900, $1,979.99 per ounce of the bars, per ounce of gold. So, again, when we were talking about people dumping, crypto, people dumping bonds, people dumping stocks, maybe people are moving into gold. As we see, gold was up 1.3% on Wednesday of this week. So in order to understand why gold is so valuable, most people think gold is valuable because it's a currency, but the truth is gold has intrinsic value, like extreme intrinsic value. We've talked about this in the past, but I think the main thing is right here, it's pretty much anti-corrosive. It says right here, gold is one of the least reactive metals on the periodic table. It does not react with oxygen, so it never rusts or corrodes. Gold is unaffected by air, water, alkalis in all acids except for aqua regia, a mixture of hydrochloric acid and nitric acid, which can dissolve gold. So gold is a very resilient metal. Also, when we type in gold conductivity, right? This is it says the thermal conductivity of gold is 318 watts per mk, whatever that means. Whereas the thermal conductivity is copper is slightly higher, but gold it says gold is said to be one of the best conductors of electricity. Unlike other metals, gold does not tarnish easily when we expose it to air. On the other hand, other metals like steel and copper corrode when they are in contact with oxygen for a long time. So we're talking about, so copper may conduct electricity better than gold, but gold is way more resilient. And that's why you see things like your headphones or your audio equipment often is made from gold. The inside is gold cables. I know Beats by Dre. Beats. Let's do it. Beats headphones, gold wire, right? And you'll see here somewhere. These things are, I believe the Beats headphones are made with gold wires. I can't find information on it because they're showing me gold colors as opposed to the actual wire. But you guys know this to be true. Many of you are extremely smart, so you know this to be true. So that's why gold is actually a superior metal to hold. It doesn't have much to do with commerce as much as it has to do with usability, especially when we're talking about in the context of some sort of apocalyptic event. We can use gold for many different things. So I think the most fascinating, in my opinion, the most fascinating things on my mind in nature, number one are octopi. Number two is honey, obviously made by bees, and gold. Just very fascinating things. And the fact that honey is the same color of gold is, quite fascinating because honey has anti-corrosive attributes as well. So in world situation, honey and gold are two things you want. One of my biggest dreams is to do some beekeeping. I wanna try different types of beekeeping. Maybe one side of Hotepistan will have certain types of flowers, and we'll put some bees over there. I'll make a certain type of honey, and then over here we'll have a different type of flower to create a different type of honey. We have all different types of honey in Hotepistan. Hotepistan, in fact, will probably, one of our, how they have a state bird and a state flower. Honey is going to be one of our state thingamajiggies. Really, really enjoy honey. And a lot of you have pollen allergies. And according to some people's research, they say that if you eat the honey from your local area, you'll become immune to the pollen in the area. I haven't tried that out myself because I don't have a pollen allergy, but maybe try it out and let me know how that works out for you. Real quick, did he do it yet? Let me see. Let me see if he did it yet. So, he's doing it. He's doing it. Pause. He's doing it. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out if I should make this paid information. Should I make this? I shouldn't share this with anybody. I'll make this paid information. Join my locals. I have some interesting information in regards to Master Focus and how we're building that company. So I placed an update recently. I'll put out another update to show you how we're investing in the brand. And I'll save that. But to give you a hint, outside of investing in marketing, and we'll reveal some of our you'll see ahead of time. Anybody who's on my locals or is a member of YouTube, You'll see how we're investing in marketing, but and more importantly, you'll see how we're investing in technology to grow the company. So I'll make a video and I'll post it on Locals, hotepjesus.locals.com. And I'll post it on for our YouTube subscribers as well. And you guys can see how our company is investing in technology and marketing. So you guys will be the first ones to see it. Everybody else will see it thereafter. Hold on. Let me just check. I want to check it on my phone to see. Okay, my dev is texting me now. Okay, he must have texted me that by accident. But I'm really elated because I told you guys before, I did all this work redesigning the website just to find out that I only needed parts of it. And sometimes that's a huge lesson there, is to find out that sometimes being full and thorough and completing your work, it took me about 10 hours of work to design the website. And really I only needed about, I don't know, 10 minutes of work. But I had to do all that work just to realize what was most important. That's really going to drive ROI for us. So again, I'll share that information for anybody on the Locals, hotepjesus.locals.com, or anybody that's a supporter on YouTube. Now, I see people in the chat telling me happy birthday. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But my birthday is on Sunday. So I'll probably stream on Sunday to get my birthday grift on. AJ Sparker said, yes, AP Mex. Is AP Mex it? Okay. Is that the best place to buy gold? Okay, I'm going there right now. Let me see. I see it. AP Mex, precious metal dealers. Thank you. I also tried to get a gold sponsor. I tried to get somebody from a gold company to sponsor me. And, well, they basically said no. Not exactly sure why. But shout out to Leah. Leah's in charge of sponsorship. So if you guys know anybody who wants to sponsor me, let me know. AJ Sparker said, I will give you more in Telegram when I get done with work. Thank you, AJ. 87. Laura Ann, what up? What up, Laura Ann? I want a chicken coop and fresh eggs. I also want a chicken coop. That is correct. I want chickens and I want bees. You know, I'm probably going to be living in Texas when I do this too. So I may become a resident of Texas soon. All right, let's go to the next story. So what did we just cover? Oh, we covered that. Okay, so our second story in regards to CBDCs is right here on your screen. And you'll see here 9 firms listed as technology partners for the National Bank of Georgia CBDC project. So the nation of Georgia is working on a CBDC project. And Ripple was actually selected as one of the 9. Now, I spoke about Ripple. I think I told you guys this before, but many moons ago, I was with Carl Silva Wright, and he had a cryptocurrency podcast. And on that podcast, he asked me, what are my top buys? At that time, I think it was Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. And I did mention Ripple at the time. And he was like, yo, why Ripple? Why XRP? And I'm like, to me, it was like the Fed coin. I felt like the establishment was behind Ripple. It seemed like they just had some deep state connections. And I was like, you always bet on deep state. So with this announcement, and also other countries are looking to use Ripple technology to back their CBDC. So, this is not financial advice, but if you're if you want to take a gamble, take a little bit of risk and, allocate some of your portfolio to cryptocurrency, I would take a look at Ripple too. I would take a look at Ripple. Obviously we're enjoying the technology of Syscoin, but if you want to hedge your bets by betting on the deep state, and again, I can't guarantee that Ripple is a deep state asset. They just came off like that to me. I just saw, this was 2017, and I just was following them and some of the news around them, because you got to do a lot of research on these companies before you bet on them. And yeah, I just it just smelled like, if it's not deep state, at least deep state connections, establishment connections. So yeah, that's my buy signal of the day, if there is one of those for this program. Anyway, let's go back in the bag. I got some small brain shit in here we're going to talk about today, which I deemed somewhat important. Wait, why didn't that story enter the bag? Oh, I know why. All right, so because I didn't include that. All right, before we get to the small brain stuff, let's talk about Thomas Sowell. What did I say this broadcast was about? De-dollarization, OpenAI. Oh, yeah, we got to talk about OpenAI. And I have that up. But let's talk about OpenAI first. Let's talk about OpenAI, and then we'll talk about Thomas Sowell after. Now, this is something that I fully expected. Many of us expected. But it seems like it's happening a lot sooner or later than we expected, maybe. I don't know. But if you've downloaded iOS 17, you notice that it's got some predictive text happening there. And basically, OpenAI is in advanced talks with former Apple designer Sir Jony Ive and SoftBank's Masayoshi Son. It's out of Japan. SoftBank is one of the biggest VC firms in the world. I think Masayoshi's son might be the richest man in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. And they said they want to launch a venture to build the iPhone of artificial intelligence. So OpenAI, SoftBank, a former Apple designer, are looking to build like a ChatGPT AI phone. Obviously, I don't think I'll buy V1. Maybe I'll buy V1 1.5 because I want to wait and see, who's, OpenAI phone explodes first. As we saw the other day, the new Apple iPhone 15 has, I think 50% of them are having overheating issues. But this is fascinating. So in the market right now of smartphones, you pretty much have Android/Samsung. iPhone, which is technically a Samsung phone, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember Elon's phone. I guess it's called the Tesla phone. And then you'll have this one. And obviously you got a whole bunch of, mock, like, I guess you can call them fake iPhones that come out of China. You can buy them really cheap. They're like fake smartphones. You can get them on Alibaba, but they're not really serious market competitors. But I think OpenAI, because OpenAI, you got to remember, OpenAI has serious. Actually, let's pull that up really, really fast. I'll show you. So let's type in OpenAI Google investment. I think they invest like 100 million? No, 300 million. So here's now this is an old story. This one here says this is from The Verge. It says Google invested 300 million in the AI firm. No, that's not that one. No, that's former. Hold on, let me change the filter. Tools, anytime. I think it was a past week. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So it says here, OpenAI is in discussions about a potential share sale that would value it at $80 to $90 billion. OpenAI is about to be worth $1 trillion, bro. No, I'm lying. 1/10 of $1 trillion. I'm about to have Democrat math out here. SpaceX. So they earned over $1 billion in revenue in this year. We talked about that. Okay, it says OpenAI is largely backed by Microsoft. Microsoft owns 49% of the company. Hey, if Microsoft buys one of my companies or buys like 49% of one of my companies, y'all gonna cancel me and call me a Bill Gates agent? Because I damn sure am not going to discriminate if they're looking to invest heavily in one of my companies. Business is business. I'm looking for Gmail. Okay, so Anthropic is being backed by Amazon. Okay, so it's Anthropic and OpenAI. So Amazon versus Microsoft, sort of behind the scenes. But I know they. So I guess that. Yeah. Okay. So Amazon's putting $4 billion into the OpenAI rival Anthropic, and that's started by the guys that were formerly at OpenAI. But I know they got a big investment. OpenAI's got a huge investment, looking to sell more shares. So, when you couple what they're getting now, and then you add in SoftBank, right? So to show you the power of SoftBank, let's do a Google search on Masayoshi Son. Wikipedia. So this is Masayoshi's son. I think isn't he like the richest man in the world or something like that? SoftBank has tremendous capital. I can't remember how much capital. Oh yeah, the Vision Fund. So yeah. So yeah, Masayoshi Son. I think I want to say he's the richest man in Japan, if not one of. But when you couple that money that OpenAI currently has, the money they're looking to raise, and SoftBank, OpenAI is like a really big emerging company. I mean, when you do $1 billion in revenue, that's insane. So keep an eye on this. Keep an eye on them being a competitor to the iPhone. And if you know anything about free market economics, you know that more competitors are better. Basically, what'll happen is the price of smartphones have to come down, and then the technology in the smartphones will have to get better, and customer service will have to get better. So I'm very happy to see OpenAI, coming in and being a real competitor, because I don't see Android as a real competitor to the iPhone. And I know a lot of you guys are going to argue about that and whatnot, because you guys are Android users and you're techie and all that stuff. And although Android in many ways has a better phone, they just don't have the market capitalization. And I think OpenAI will force Apple to put out a better phone. So this is good news for Apple users. And I think when OpenAI comes out with the phone, I'll probably purchase it because right now, Hotep Nation, it's a 501c nonprofit. So we don't have a phone, and it needs a phone. So we might buy the OpenAI phone, and I'll test it out and give you guys a review at some point. But I'm sure that's at least a year or two away from being sold and on shelves. All right. So that's your tech update of the day. Let's go back. Let's talk about Thomas Sowell. Now, today is a bit of this part of the stream is more of, I guess, me thinking out loud to you and trying to figure out what's going on with my life, right? So, how should I say this? All right, I'll just be honest. I'll just be honest and frank. So I was sitting here looking at my account today, right? And I noticed that I've been stuck at 289K followers for really long, pretty much since Elon took over. I've been stuck at this number, 289,000 followers. And I've tried everything not everything within reason to boost this number, and it's just not moving, right? So I said to myself, well, I am pretty fucking boring, right? Like, all I do is tweet about fucking economics, and it's, pretty fucking boring. Now, I will say the quality of my followers has gotten better, right? Like, because I'm not tweeting about primarily politics, because what happens is, when you tweet about politics, what you get is you get the riffraff, right? You get like all the small brain people who just want to talk about, Hunter Biden's crack or whatever, right? But when you talk about economics and some of the big brain stuff, the big brain people follow you, and the major corporations follow you. Like the people that have legitimate capital behind their startups started following me. So I'm trading having a lot of followers for having better followers, which I like, which I actually prefer. Still, my account should grow. So I've started thinking to myself, like, who am I, right? Like, who am I, and how do I fit in this world, right? And I don't know if race plays a role in this, but I think it does because of the conversations that we have. So I was thinking to myself, I'm in a very peculiar place, right? And I'll put this on the screen so you guys can see my mind and where this originated from. So it's this quote here from, from Sowell, Thomas Sowell, the Great. And he says here, people will forgive you for being wrong, but they will never forgive you for being right, especially if events prove you right while proving them wrong. And I'm like, damn, that's me. I'm the fucking guy that's proving people wrong, which is hurting my popularity. It would make much more sense for me to LARP and grift. Like if I LARPed and grifted, then my popularity would increase exponentially. However, it might increase exponentially for all of the wrong reasons. And I could technically do that. It would, but it would be more like a Trojan horse tactic. And I just really don't have time to waste on being a Trojan horse, right? So I kind of threw that option out. Like, nah, I don't want a Trojan horse this situation. Mostly because it just wouldn't make me happy. It would take an effect on my mental health, knowing that I wake up every day pretending to be something I'm not. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. That's just how my conscience works. So I'm known for telling the truth. I'm known for calling shit down the middle and exposing the truth, whether people like it or not. And I don't really want to stop doing that, right? So then I said, okay, well, who am I in this world, and how do I fit into this world? And who are my comparables, right? In real estate, you have something called comps, and if you want to know the value of the house, you have to look at all the other houses similar to yours, and that's how they draw the value of your house. So I said to myself, okay, Hotep Jesus, who online is like you, right? Who is black? Who is a conservative? Who is talking about big brain topics and is super fucking popular? Like that's me, right? Because we're talking about popularity, because we got to make money, right? And the only person I could come up with was Thomas Sowell. And I'm like, shit, I'm like ages away from Thomas Sowell. As far as studies are concerned and just accomplishments, he's got years ahead of me, right? Like he's just much older than me. So it's like, catching up. I got a lot of catching up to do just age wise and academically. He's just well studied academically. So I said to myself, okay, why is he popular? So I did a search on YouTube, on Twitter to see, which of his material is most celebrated. And when I looked at it, I noticed that it was all of the anti-social justice stuff and not really his economic work. It was his, social justice and racial fallacies and all of this work, based upon statistics from his research team and, put together, and then he's able to publish these books. So I'm like, okay, so they like him because he dispels the myths of the left. Now, I'm not really into dispelling myths of the left, mostly because the myths have already been dispelled because of the work of Thomas Sowell and others. So that leaves me in a bit of a conundrum. Now, obviously, I can continue that work and dispel many of their myths. And we do that often on this channel, right? Like we did that the other day. We did it just yesterday, right? So I do that. So I guess there's a certain vertical where, daily I should find something that the left does and contradicts it. And that will raise my popularity. So I thought about that. And I was just like, but it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like boring to me to try and do that on a consistent basis. Again, trying to maintain my mental health. And then I felt that Thomas Sowell isn't actually appreciated for his greatest work. His greatest work is in the economic realm. So, but people don't talk about that. People don't talk about his book, Basic Economics. They talk about, the racial topics. And to me, his racial topics aren't his best work. His best work is basically just dispelling the myths of, what comes out of Berkeley University or the Federal Reserve or Wall Street or JP Morgan, and dispelling those myths. Like, to me, that is the most fascinating. It's the most big brain. It's the most high level. But everybody just... So then I backed up and I said, all right, well, what makes a black conservative popular? And obviously, the one thing that will make a black conservative super popular is castigating black people. You go online and you just say, hey, black people, you're doing this wrong. Black people, you're doing that wrong. You become a hero amongst the right. But I have zero interest of doing that. Now, I've done a lot of that organically in the past because people were trying to vote for Hillary Clinton. And I was like, not on my watch. So I was quite vocal about that in the past. Now, a lot of that stuff doesn't need to be said anymore because the economy has spoken for us. Price of gas and food, et cetera, et cetera. Cost of living has gone up in America. It's just fucking straight up recession. But like building my brand off of demonizing black people, off of criticizing black people. I mean, all races on this planet don't got their shit together. We can say something shitty about everybody. So for the sake of popularity, should I change my brand or modify my brand to just be, criticizing black folks? I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do that. And I remember Maj Toure, he had a tweet back in the day that was highly critical of Thomas Sowell. And I didn't agree with his take on Thomas Sowell. In fact, I vehemently disagree. I don't see Thomas Sowell as some sort of coon. I just see a guy who looks at the statistics and tells us what the real statistics say. However, I think what Maj is pointing to is the celebration of Thomas Sowell, and all of the work that he's done is primarily focused around black community. And even a little bit of the socialism, the anti-socialism stuff, which I enjoy much more than the race conversation. But Maj is on to something when he says that, right? He's on to something, where, people are celebrating Thomas Sowell for all the wrong reasons. I even enjoyed some of his work on dispelling the myths about the gender wage gap. When he's talking about gender wage gap, he's basically saying, well, women don't ask for raises at the same rate as men do. Women don't work the same hours as men do. Mostly because, men are the breadwinners and they do most of the earning. Women tend to work less hours. Women less likely to ask for promotions. What else did he mention? Pregnancy. Women get pregnant. So that's going to affect their ability to work as well, whereas men can work year round. So, I found that, all of that stuff good and fascinating. But To me, it's just, what's the word I want to use here? It's not downplaying, but devaluing. Yeah, that's what it is. White conservatives devalue. Well, let me stop right there because my brain forked. Conservatism and liberalism are white concepts. Not in the definitions of the terms, but in the application of the terms. Conservatism in America is run by white people. Liberalism in America is run by white people. In fact, the term classical liberalism is created by white folks. In Iceman Inheritance, John Henry Clark, maybe I could bring up a copy of this. Maybe I can show you this. Maybe hold on a second. Iceman Inheritance file type. Do I have a copy on this computer? Oh no, I don't have a copy on this computer. Actually, I think I do. Is this it? Okay, that link doesn't work. What about this one? I want to show you something. No, that's not it. Let's see if this link works. Okay, I think we found it. Really good book. It's by Michael Bradley. It's called The Iceman Inheritance. I'm trying to fucking find a PDF version of it now. But in there, he has a quote about liberalism. And I've heard people in the past say things like, classical liberalism is not the same as liberalism. And then I'm just like, yeah, I don't think that's true. Damn, all these links are broken. Damn, the fucking copyright boys done zapped it. Yeah, the copyright boys done zapped it. I have a physical copy upstairs, but he basically says the seat of white, I think the exact words are, the seat of white supremacy is in liberalism, sits in liberalism. The seat of white supremacy is liberalism, something to that effect. You guys can get a copy, and actually, let me see. Amazon might show me a preview, and because it's really in the first few pages. So there, where's the preview? I'm sorry, it's Friday, so I'm gonna geek out. Y'all gonna have to just bear with me. It's not giving me a preview. All right, fuck it. Anyway, I'll come back to my previous point. Wait, what was my previous point? I don't even remember what I was talking about. Anyway, coming back to soul. So, conservatism and liberalism are basically the GOP, DNC. These things are run by white people. So as a black person, you're a guest, right? So I'm a guest in the house of republicanism, right? If I even classify myself that. So, which means in order to rise in prominence, you need one of two things. Either so much capital that you can just push yourself, or the gatekeepers open up the doors. Now, many of the gatekeepers in republicanism have closed the doors to me. TPUSA has closed doors to me. Daily Wire has closed the doors to me because we were supposed to have talks with Matt Walsh, and then I got snubbed on that. Fox technically has me blackballed. It's just that Gutfeld is a really nice guy. So Gutfeld has me on. I had 3 other personalities from Fox reach out to me and say, hey, they want to bring me on. And then the day of, they say things like, oh, sorry, we can't do this today. Let's circle back. And then I never hear from them. So for whatever reason that is, whatever reason that they decided that I don't fit into what they want. And I think mostly because, like I said, there's this party line that you have to become a prisoner of. And I don't have too much problem with following the party line. The issue is I don't know what the party line is sometimes. Like I know right now the party line is get behind either Trump, Vivek, DeSantis, or Nikki Haley. And if you call out right-wing media for propping these guys up over somebody like a Doug Burgum, then basically, hey, your voice is moot. We don't want you speaking to the public because you're not going to follow the agenda. I just wish that somebody would just send me an email and tell me, hey, here's what you got to stick to. And then, we'll play the game. And I'll just say whatever I want to say, outside of that. But yeah, so, you're subject to these party lines. And the left, I can't fit into the party lines of the left. I was blackballed from the left before I was blackballed from the right. Mostly because everything I said sounded too conservative and way too capitalistic. So black media pretty much has me blackballed. Breakfast Club won't talk to me. Who's the other one? Fox Soul. They pulled some bullshit last time I was supposed to go on there, and they snubbed me. Probably won't talk to BET. I don't know what other outlet would have me on, but black media tends not to fuck with me. I think it's mostly because they're afraid. Because a lot of this media stuff is driven by clicks, right? So black media is looking at me and going, this guy's not going to get me any clicks, and he might get me canceled with his opinions. And that could hurt my podcast because they're going to say, oh, you platformed this guy. This guy was wearing a MAGA hat, and then they'll get canceled or whatever, right? And they'll pull up all my old pictures with the MAGA hat and shit I said about Trump or whatever. So it's the fear factor. And, again, prisoners to the party line, black media, prisoners to the party line. So now I'm in a space where the gatekeepers on the left block me out. The gatekeepers on the right block me out, which leaves me with the Libertarian Party. Now, the Libertarian Party, again, is white controlled. So now, again, I'm just in a situation where, I'm at the whim of some white man. And I don't like that. I don't like fucking having to be controlled and toe party lines. And the Libertarian Party is splintered right now. The only good thing about them is probably Mises. But Mises won't cut the check. And I'm like, cut the check. We was in talks with Mises, and we was like, yo, Mises, why don't you sponsor the event? But they can't sponsor Hotep Con because Hotep Nation, as a nonprofit, cannot do anything political. We'll lose our designation. But you can sponsor Hotep Jesus. Hotep Jesus can push the Mises, right? So Mises won't cut the check. So basically, I'm like politically homeless, right? Politically homeless, which is why I don't vote. And I probably won't vote this year. The only thing I might do is I'll probably change my, your voter designation, like the party that you belong to. I'll probably change that to independent. I'm not going to register as a Republican because fuck them. And I'm not registering as a Democrat because fuck them. And I'm not registering as Libertarian because fuck them too. So I might change my designation to independent. And the only reason why I'm changing to independent is because I don't want to die one day and people go, oh, well, he was a Democrat. No, the fuck. Do not say Hotep Jesus was a Democrat. I was not a fucking Democrat. Fuck the Democrats. And I don't want them saying I was a Republican either, because I thought about changing to Republican. And just now I changed my mind. I was like, no, I don't want to be a Republican. I just want to be independent, right? So, yeah. So I'm politically homeless. I'm not going to vote next election. I'm about 90% sure that I'm not going to vote next election. I haven't voted at all. I think the only time I casted a vote was for Barack Obama the first time. I didn't vote the second time when he ran again, mostly because I just didn't feel like voting. And then when Hillary ran, I had a big argument with my mom, and she basically controls my vote because black women controls the black man's vote until he takes it back, which I plan on doing. So she casted my vote for me, and obviously she voted for fucking Hillary with my vote. So somewhere in the system it says Hotep Jesus voted for Hillary, even though I didn't want to. But I didn't care too much because I'm in the state of New Jersey and it's a blue state, so I knew it was going to go blue anyway. So I didn't really care because there's no way, Jersey's going to flip red. So, and it's all based upon electoral college anyway. So, yeah. So again, I just, I'm politically homeless. I don't exactly know what to do politically. So the only thing I do know very well is business. I know business very, 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 very well. And I'm learning money, and I'm pretty much an intermediate learner when it comes to money. So I think that's what I think I'm going to focus on. I think I'm going to focus on business and money. And whoever fucks with me, and whoever doesn't, doesn't. And when the phone calls come, the phone calls will come. So shout out to Greg Gutfeld for being a real one. Shout out to Alex Jones for being a real one. Shout out to Joe Rogan for being a real one. Appreciate those guys, for giving me a look and platforming me, because if it wasn't for them, nobody would platform me. Which reminds me of something else, too. I want to show y'all something and get y'all opinion on this shit, because I don't think I'm bugging, but I just want to make sure I'm not bugging. So check this shit out. I got a message from this person. Let me show you this message here. Well, actually, I'm not going to show you the message. I'm just going to show you the account. And I want you guys to tell me what you would do if you were me. And I have a pretty good idea of what you guys would say. But I also want to see if you guys ever heard of this person before. Here it is right here. Yeah, this shit looks wild. Even the name is just fucking wild. So let's pull this up. All right. Look at this shit. So this guy right here, his name is Candy Ken. Now that was the first red flag for me. He's got 1.3 million followers. His account is just like, I don't know what the fuck. I don't even want to scroll down because it's just more weird shit. It says CrossFit athlete, Sigma dad, and unapologetic host of the Candy Ken Show. Now, the one thing I'm not going to do is talk to somebody named Candy Ken. I don't give a fuck. Like, that's another thing about me. It's like, I'm not going to do a show just because it's popular. Like, I got invited to do No Jumper, right? And I was like, under the right conditions, I'll do No Jumper, right? But they were trying to, I think at one point they were like, we want you to debate Umar Johnson. I think another one was like, can you debate Nick Fuentes or something like that? And I'm like, if you want to talk to Hotep Jesus, talk to Hotep Jesus. Don't bring me on to like create beef. Like, I don't want to be used as a pawn for your agenda or whatever it is you're trying to do to create clicks and generate. And I know you guys got to make good content of No Jumper. It's no beef or nothing. I don't got no problems with y'all. I get what you're trying to do, but you're just not going to do it with me. But I'm not doing the Candy Ken Show, bro. Like, seriously? 1.3 million followers? Like, I don't see anything me and him could talk about. Maybe I'm wrong. No Jumper is about beef? Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's a red flag, right? DMW Shots, thank you for becoming a member. Hotep Initiate, salute. He said man's logo is a rainbow. Yeah. He said take this off our screens. Big pause. Yeah, and it says 69 in his name. Yeah, I'm like, what kind of debauchery shit is this, right? So I'm not doing that show. So the plan is to become filthy fucking rich. That's the plan. And the thing is, you know, gatekeepers can stop you from doing many things. What they can't do is they can't stop you from making money. You can't stop capitalism. You just can't stop it. You can't stop somebody from putting out great product, giving great customer service, and a great price. So that's why I'm putting all my chips in the Master Focus bag and developing that brand, developing that company to make me filthy fucking rich so I can actually do some real political action. Because I can't do political action with the powers that be that exist amongst the right. I can't do it with the left. I can't do it with the center. So it's going to have to be done under the badge of Hotep. And I got some really dope political action ideas. I just don't want to answer to anybody. I don't want to answer to Charlie Kirk. I don't want to answer to fucking Ben Shapiro. I don't want to answer to Fox. I don't want to answer to the GOP. I don't want to answer to Lindsey Graham. I want to answer to my fucking self when I make some political moves. So I guess the goal then would be become filthy fucking rich, make a couple of $1 million, and start up a PAC. Political Action Committee. Hotep PAC. What y'all think about that? Hotep PAC. Start a political action committee. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't even know what a fucking political action committee is. All I know is it's fucking useful. I'll talk to Sonny. Sonny can tell me what the fuck I'm supposed to do with it. I'll probably make Sonny president of the PAC, and she can help me run it. And we'll hire a bunch of people. We'll hire a shitload of people. We're gonna hire all in-house. So if you're here in the chat, you're like the first hire. You know, in business, that's another thing, right? Where you can hire outside of your company, but sometimes hiring within the ranks is better because you want people that are a cultural fit. HPAC, I like that. I like that. You know, so I rather people hire people who know how we think and think like us and move forward with them, and we can train them to do their job. I have no problem with giving people the skills and training them and then giving them a nice salary and hiring people. So, yeah, that's my Thomas Sowell rant. I wish people loved Thomas Sowell for his work and not just for his anti-black rhetoric. And it's not anti-black, it's just more, that's how it's perceived. So, yeah. He said, from Mr. No Women in Politics, the tables have turned. Well, I've always said that Sonny Johnson is exempt from my No Women in Politics rule. I've always said she's exempt. Trish said I would get fired because I would be telling people off. Trish, you're going to be a first hire just so Trish, you're going to be like hired to tell people off. Like, Trish, when you see Trish walk through the office, just make sure you look busy. I'm hiring Trish just to tell people to fuck off. She's going to be our fuck off officer. The FOO. Yeah. So what else did I have? I'm going to open up phone lines. You want to get on the phone line? Take Candy Ken off my screen. Yeah. I can't believe they sent me a message. Like, what could he possibly, I wanted to respond and ask Candy Ken what he could possibly want to talk to me about, but I couldn't see myself responding to somebody named Candy Ken. I just don't even want to be in the same screenshot of that DM. It skeeves me out. Is the website still down? Okay, it's up. Yeah. All right, last thing I'm going to talk about here. We're going to open up phone lines. Text HOTEP in your name to 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. I want to talk about, since we're talking about media people and culture vultures, et cetera, I want to talk about this. Let's pull this up. Let's take a look at this. I want to show you an example of a culture vulture.
You do. That's the question.
I interview people
Why?
because I want to get to know them.
Why do you want to get to know me?
I didn't.
Did you hear the contradiction right there? Did you hear that contradiction right there? Let me replay it.
You do. That's the question.
I interview people
Why?
because I want to get to know them.
Why do you want to get to know me?
I didn't.
You see that? Let's continue.
You did.
Your team reached out to mine.
Don't cap.
You heard that? She said your team reached out to mine. Pay attention to this part. This is what's the word for this, man? Because white women do this shit. This is why I'm terrified of corporate Americas. White women will lie on you, yo. White women will lie on your ass so fast in a professional environment too, with the cameras on and everything. They will just cap just to make you seem lesser than. This comes back to my fear of white people. I've had a fear of white people for a very long time, which I'm still getting over. But this right here is giving me PTSD. You'll see you in a second. Hold on. Let me show you.
You did.
Your team reached out to mine.
Don't cap. Let's not cap about that. That's not flex for the gram. Uh-oh. CAP. Flag on the play. Cap.
What was that? Are you trying to make a song right now?
No, it was cap.
Okay. I honestly don't know how this came about. I'm not going to lie to you.
Did you see that? It went from your team, and she said it so sure.
Didn't.
You did.
Your team reached out to mine.
Don't cap.
Did you see how she just said that? She just said it so smooth. Your team, and so sure. Just lied. Just lied. Now, I don't know what this girl's name, but apparently, she's become popular and decided to start a podcast. White girl pops up out of nowhere and decides to start a podcast where she interviews fucking, black personalities and rappers and stuff because, well, it gets it clicks. It's basically like the Pearly Things grift, right? White girl. Remember I told you the great grifting is white woman or white person and black person. White person and black person. You mix those two things together. But the white person has to be really white and the black person has to be really black. When you blend those two, like we said before, Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg, it just works, right? But the fact that she just lied like that.
Let's not cap about that. That's not flex for the gram. Uh-oh. CAP. Flag on the play. Cap.
What was that? Are you trying to make a song right now?
No, it was cap.
Okay. I honestly don't know how this came about. I'm not going to lie to you.
You see that? That shit's disturbing me, man. That shit gives me PTSD for all the white women that ever lied on me. And they've done it consistently throughout my life. Like all throughout grade school, high school. White women are not like you and just make up some shit about you. Get you in trouble. Just blatant lies, yo. I'm sick of women lying on me, yo. This should give me PTSD and make me angry, yo.
Me either.
Okay. Well, my team could have reached out to yours. I'm not going to. I don't want to make you look bad.
See, she said her team could have reached out to him.
They had to show me who Bobby was. I thought they were talking about Bobby Boucher.
Never heard of Offset.
The water? Yes, you have.
I have not. I Googled you on the way here, and I read something about you.
I had to go.
So she doesn't even know who Offset is, but she's interviewing rappers. Like this isn't the first rapper she's interviewed. How are you interviewing people you've never heard of? So basically what happens is you get the white girl, she pops up there. They're like, hey, we come from a well-to-do family. We have a budget. We can make anybody famous. Remember I told you before, as long as you got capital, you can do whatever the fuck you want in this world. So we can make this little white girl famous. So her team's like, let's follow the great grifting format. And what we'll do is we'll book the talent. So they're going based upon popularity to get the clicks. But she don't know shit about these motherfuckers. Didn't want to know anything about these motherfuckers. She lied twice on here already.
On TikTok, I couldn't even Google you.
Thank you.
I had to go TikTok search. I couldn't Google you. Google's not there yet. You're not there yet. But you'll be there. But you're on TikTok.
That shit is just so, So again, like I told you, her team will book the talent, knowing it'll get clicks. She'll go up there. And if, like, how good of a conversation could you have with Offset if you don't know who Offset is and you Googled him on the way to the interview? Like, how good of an interview are you going to be able to have? I don't know. I mean, I've had interviews with people where I didn't Google shit. I didn't know them either. Still had great conversations, but I think I have a certain skill. But also, I think, you know, we knew the topics we would talk about. Like, we were all on the same side of the political aisle. So, you know, the type of conversation we would have. But, you know, to see her do this, it's just like, and this is what we talking about, culture vultures, right? People are like, oh my God, what are you talking about, culture vultures? This is what I'm talking about. These are culture vultures that have come in, use black people, use black artists, make a big buck, and not give nothing back. And that's the thing. Like, people talk about, like, the black community. I'm like, a lot of people come and they take from us, but they don't put back. They don't reinvest in the hood. Nike don't reinvest. Nike will give you, you know, some shirts and shit, and, you know, as long as the kids are playing basketball or football, you know, but they don't reinvest in the hood. Like, they don't invest in, like, serious education programs and whatnot. They might do some charity for tax purposes, but they're not really, they want athletes. They don't want people with brains. And that makes sense because they're a sports company, but none of these people actually give back. And that's what makes you a culture vulture. When you don't give back, you just take until the thing's dead, and then you move on to the next carcass. Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. All right, let's go to the phone lines. 202-596-5631. 202-596-5631. And I'll be back after this short, brief commercial break.